Hello and welcome, everyone. Hopefully you all had a pretty good Thursday so far. My name is Brendan, and this is Dev Chatter. And today we are going to continue on the code that we were working on Tuesday. So we have been programming in C# in .NET Core a program that is a chat bot for connecting to Twitch, but the intention is to also connect to Discord and any other services that we eventually want to. So what we were working on Tuesday was adding in a rock, paper, scissors gambling game into the bot so that people in chat could use that. And we had a few people in chat that were able to help us work on that. Thank you, Space Shot, for following. Welcome. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started on this. So I am going to go ahead and jump us back into the source code we were working on, as I was doing some other stuff off stream that is going to involve a little bit of headbanging, and I don't think you guys are going to want to be involved in that. So I left the headbanging, the frustrating stuff for not working with you guys, and I will review what ends up working once we get that right. So let's go ahead and jump over to the pieces that we were working on, which is the rock, paper, scissors game we were making. And we have a couple of pieces. So for anyone that missed Tuesday, I will show you how this works. We're going to go ahead and run the bot, which right now is just a console application because we don't really have a front-end UI on it. So we just did a console app because it's the easiest thing to do when we don't really want a UI. So, because the primary connection to the bot at this point is actually commands through chat, not through anything else. So, you guys should be able to see in the lower right-hand corner, which should be over that way, I think, the chat and the bot should have just said hello. So, what we're going to do is I will go ahead and show you guys a couple of the commands that are available. So, the first one, there are some commands like lurk that we can use, where the bot will just respond, extract out the name of the person who gave the command, and just say, hey, that person's lurking. So those are the simple commands we've got set up. But we added a couple of other ones, like a rock, paper, scissors command, where I might say, you know, rock, paper, scissors. So, yep, you guys got the idea. Wheelspin and Nifix777. The bot will respond to any commands you guys give it. So, I set up a rock, paper, scissors game. So, go ahead and, if you want, jump in the rock, paper, scissors game, and we're going to see who ends up winning that. Maybe it won't even be me this time. I swear people thought I was cheating last time on Tuesday, because I won pretty much every time. Yet everybody watched me write the code, so they know I'm not cheating. 1 second, guys. And I forgot to tweet out that we are live, so I'm going to do that now. That will take me all of a few seconds. So I will click that and click a couple of other things. Alright, that should be all we need to do there. And I think we have a few people that are in this. Alright, guys. Let's see who wins this. So I'm going to go ahead and start the rock, paper, scissors game now. So final time to change all of your guesses. We'll see what the bot picks. The bot chooses rock, so the winners are the people who were on paper at the end, and that is Ludmelon and Nifix777. Congratulations,
Hey,
you
Alpha.
two won.
Oh,
Hey, sorry, didn't realize you were streaming. So, anyway, I need to borrow the car.
Now, the consequences of winning is not much.
Gamma says it's his turn.
Pretty much it just announces your name. Yes. Celebrate your
victory. Just kidding, everybody.
Hi. Because you won. Thank you for following Nivix. See? Celebratory follow. So, right now, all it does when you win a game of rock, paper, scissors, if we take a look at the command right now, the guy behind... Oh, yeah. Yeah, did you like that? I thought it was kind of funny. Alright, so... So what are we working on? We have, right now, when you win, we announce the winners, but we don't actually do anything with that. So we want to actually make there be some kind of a benefit. And you'll notice the bot just got around to that Nifix, so the bot has now welcomed you also. Okay, so we want to adjust tokens. Well, we don't have tokens yet, so we're going to need to add that concept. So if we take a look at our model, we have a handful of things that are available to us, one of them being the chat user, which is not being stored in our database yet. We also have the quotes that we store and a couple of other things, but the significant piece that I want to make sure that we're actually storing is the chat user and their amount of currency. So what we can do here is we can either set it up so that the currency is a separate piece and make it so that that's a separate table in the system and a separate model, or we can adjust it so that the currency is just right on the person himself. And I'm thinking that currency might be central enough to our system to put it on there, but if you guys feel strongly otherwise, I can go another way on that. So for now, let's go ahead and do it this way. Yell and shout if you want me to go the other way. So, so let's just add in a property that is tokens. And do we want it to be an int? No one will exceed an int. So, sorry guys, we might be able to overflow that at some point, but it'll be tokens for now as an integer. Heck, we might even allow you to have negative tokens. Who knows? Alright, so let's add that in. And yes, I'm aware that we can make all kinds of other tweaks to this, but let's go ahead and put that in there. And we're going to start actually storing the user in the database. So we're going to keep track of who is actually in here. So in order to do that, I'm going to jump over here, over to our data context, and I am going to add our chat user in as an actual data item that we can work with. So display name should be unique. Let's see. When you want to start and bot think you want to join in. It could say if you are not able to start because of the role. Yeah. We could change that, Janiscu, and adjust how that works. Something that we're going to get as I add these tokens is we are going to be able to earn tokens in time. And so the way that I want to do that is have it so that there is a running process, kind of like our interval triggered messages, which by the way are going to show up in chat sometime soon. I want to be able to have it
periodically giving you tokens just for being in the chat room. So as long as you're still here, you will keep earning tokens, is the idea. Okay, so our set of tokens, we made it a data item. The other thing I want to do is like an interactive guess or quiz game. So in my bot, I'd set the correct answer, then I'd be given hints to the audience. Yeah, so we can absolutely do that kind of thing, Wheelspin, especially using our interval triggered messages. Essentially, we would want to have like periodically sending out like the next piece of information, and we could make a quiz game out of that, basically. And in order to show you how to do that, what we can do for the rock, paper, scissors one is give like a 30-second or a minute warning or something like that before it does that piece. Yeah, Wheelspin, it shouldn't be that hard to create, actually. The bot's free, though, so I wouldn't worry about that part. So what we want to do is, for any given chat user, find out if they're in the system based on the display name. We don't necessarily need to be storing the role in the system. But yeah, so I think we want to ignore that one. Which I'll get to eventually. We're probably just going to store it for now. And then we want to tweak the tokens. So let's take a look at our bot inside of Startup. We're going to do... actually, we want to take a look at fake data. Actually, where do we want to go? No, on connection on Twitch, we're going to grab all the users in the system and add everybody that's not already in there. So, in order to do this, we need to actually know who everyone is. So, the first thing that I want to do is jump over to our Twitch chat client, and when it initially connects, find out who's in chat. It would be cool if we had one of the TwitchLib people, because they actually might know what I need to do in order to get that information. So once we connect, we go ahead and we say welcome, and then what I want to do is I want to check the Twitch chat client and see users. I just got a voice detecting module in the mail. Sounds fun. Okay. Let's see. Get channel moderators, joined, leaved. On user banned, joined, left, state changed, timed out. Okay, so on user joined is one of the events that's in here, and I do wonder whether or not we can leverage that. In order to get us our information. Let's go ahead and do this. What I want to do is, in order to not overload Twitch chat with a bunch of messages, because I just want to see how this works, I want to grab the username, and I'm going to just say this person joined. So I want to get us an idea of what is actually happening, because I don't know how this works. Does this just tell us everyone as they come in, or when it does the initial connection, does it claim that everybody just joined? Because if it does that, that would be perfect. So I'm going to do that. And then what I want to do is I want to say on user left. And I could do state changed, for example, also, which might give me things like they went idle. Not sure.
And then that is an on user left, so okay. So our bots should now be connected to a couple of these events and should be able to tell us in the console what is going on. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the bot. So you'll see that it left in chat. So over there in the chat you can see that the bot just left. And actually probably because of stream delay left for you guys well before you actually heard me say that. That's just how it works. Okay, so the bot's in chat now. If someone enters and leaves chat, we should see that, I think. So what I'm going to do is I am going to, on another account, see if I can enter and leave chat. Still not seeing it. Come on, guys. Come on. Gotta make this thing work. I just want to see a message that someone joined. Oh, there we go. Okay, so someone just joined chat. So what's interesting is it doesn't do the initial set. So I want to figure out how I can see who is already in chat when the bot connects. Okay, so, whoops. Well, there we go. So the bot did not say bye because I didn't close it correctly. Whoops. Sorry about that, guys. I'll put the bot back in, though. I just don't want it spitting out all this stuff to chat. Because I don't want like everybody that comes in here to be self-conscious because their name showed up on stream just because they joined the chat. So we're connected again. So the bot's there, so we can use it again. But what we want to do is see if we can get who is in here when we connect. So on new subscriber, chat command received, connect, Twitch connected. Twitch client. Let's take a quick look. Connection credentials, joined, logger, logging. Username, whisper. Let's see, get joined channel. Channel moderators, join channel, leave channel. Let's see, emotes, host. I don't want to do any of those. Okay. So, remove, send queued items, and Ross and whisper. I'm not sure how we grab that one. Get joined channel. Let's see what that is. I just want to see what the data is that this gets us back. Joined channel. What are the properties of a joined channel? There's the channel name. There's the state of the channel. Previous message, handle message. Okay, well, I don't have a good one on that one. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull up TwitchLib. And we're going to take a look and see in its documentation. So, channel and user state changed, user joined left, username, chat user, username available, user. Okay, so I'm going to check the API, and I'm going to check on user to see if it's in that one. Because our other option, keep in mind, we have the API connection that we've made, and I'm not sure what is going to be on that, but I don't think it's actually going to get us what we need. So, it's worth checking, though. So, I'm going to jump over here and just take a look with Intellisense and see what is on here. So, let's see. Twitch API, users, channels, v5, and check channel subscription by user, nope. Users, v3, v5, user, get user follow, check user subscription, check user connection to viewer, get user block list, ID, emotes, no. No, okay. So I think the only option we have is first notice that we have of the user. Other than that, I'm not sure how we can grab that one with our current setup. Our other option, we can take a look at the documentation of the Twitch API itself. But what I'm going to do instead is just say the first time we run into a user, we're just going to take a look, see if we have them in our database, and treat them as being online right now. So let's go ahead and do that. So, not the route I wanted to go, but it'll work. It's just not as nice. Okay, so we added a oh, whoops. No, actually, don't do what I just did. Okay. So instead of doing this, what we want to do is we want to keep track of the fact that they are active. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to maintain an in-memory list of chat users. Whoops. List of chat user. And we're going to call this active chat users. We're going to make this a read-only list that we're going to maintain of who we know about that is in chat at any given time. And the first time anyone shows up, we're going to make sure they're in here, add them to the list, and basically use this as our way of tracking who's in the system at any given time. So when they leave, we are going to remove their chat user from this. So we are going to remove predicate that returns a chat user. Can I do this? Display name equals on user left arg's username. And I think that should remove them from being online. And then in this one, we want to add them if they're not already in the list. So essentially, we want to say if underscore active users dot contains, and I think it had one of these. So no. Contains using link. Yeah, I want to use contains using link. Why aren't you letting me use contains using link? So we're going to go ahead and say it. Display name equals on user joined event args.username. Whoops. Sorry, guys. So if any have that, then we're gonna say, if not any, do I like that better? If all of them are not, I think I like not any better than all, but that's just me. And yes, I'm well aware of the fact that this isn't thread safe yet. We can put locks on it later. So when we add it to this, we're going to make a new chat user from them for now. This is going to be display name is on user join event. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we had some extensions before, some event extensions right here. When a user joins, I'm going to insert them into the database using this. So I am going to make an extension method. So public static to chat user. This one of these. I'm going to call it source. This is going to be chat user from our model. Now, an extension method, for anybody that doesn't know, is basically a way of making it look like you are a method of the object. So instead of saying like the static method to chat user and passing in the event args and the chat and then returning back a chat user, I instead use my event arg objects and just say dot to chat user. So it makes it read a little bit nicer, I think. So for this, what I'm going to do is just have it return this object, and then we're going to check the database to see if we have someone with this, by this username before we create this. Whoops. Oh, I don't have their role when they join this way. That's interesting. The on user joined event args does not include a role. Guess that's fine. Their tokens are going to be 0 and I don't know their ID. So, okay. So we're going to make this new user for them. So what I'm going to do is say on user joined event args to chat user. So that's what I was talking about when I said I can sort of make a chat user out of it. And I can now add them to the list. Now what I want to do before this, so I don't really want to do it this way. I want to say get them and add them if they're not already in here. So I want to call to our repository, which I don't have here, do I? No, I don't. So what I should do is put this somewhere else. So here's what we're going to do. So I mentioned that we're adding these chat users. We're going to want to connect to this. So in order to see that, command received a new subscriber. So where did this get used? Seriously, Visual Studio, help me out here, man. Do we not have references to these anymore? Am I not using these anywhere? Maybe I'm not using these. That'd be crazy. Let me exit the bot out so it doesn't give me all these errors. Sorry guys, remove the bot. Error list. What do we got? We wire up these and use it here. Okay. So it is used. It was just lying to me. Alright, so in our command handler, we are connected to that. So the other one is... okay, so we have the subscriber handler as well, but we don't want that one. What we want to do is... we want to watch users being in the system. So we're going to call this the chat user monitor. Maybe it's the token. Maybe it's the token generator. the coin generator, the token generator, the currency generator. I'm going to call this the currency generator for now, and you'll see why in a second. What I want to do is take in a list of chat clients in our currency generator. And as part of this, I want to say on user noticed. On user yeah, noticed. We'll do noticed. We're going to trigger this no matter what they did. So I am going to jump over to this. So whether they are, whether they're sending a command, or whether they are just typing in chat or something like that, or whether they joined or whatever, we want to know about it and start tracking it. So I'm going to jump over here. And I'm going to make a new set of event args. Hey, welcome, Vituaclem? I apologize for butchering your name, as I'm sure I did, but thank you for following. So this is on user noticed, so user noticed event args. The only thing we really need for this one is their username. So we're going to say display name, and we're going to need to, at some point, we're going to need to make sure that we are tracking which system they came out of. But we don't need to for now, so I'm going to go ahead and put that in its own file. So user noticed event args. We're going to have that. And then, so that is now an event. And when I do a plus, oh, whoops. What the? Oh, maybe it didn't build, so I don't get Intellisense on it. Is there a build error? Yeah. So until I actually implement these missing members on these, it's going to complain about it. That no longer exists. Let's put in the other ones. So, and I need to replace this with a stub or a fake at some point. Stub, fake, shim, something, a mock. Doesn't matter, but something to just make that work nicer. So now that we're back here, I want to say for each chat client dot on user noticed. We're going to create a method so that is a user gets noticed here. So I, in my chat client, had put in a list of the active chat users, which I actually want to move out to here because I want our currency generator to actually be what is keeping track of who is active. So when they are noticed is when we are going to put them in the list. So that is going to move over to here. Okay, we're going to use link for this. And then we're going to say user noticed event args to chat user. So a slightly different one is going to set that up. We are now going to use these as well, and that is now display name. It really wants to switch that, which it's going to squiggle it so I can either suppress that rule because it wants to simplify the link expression. That is technically simpler. I mean, it's one character shorter even to write it this way, but that's just not the way I'd write it. But that's fine. So I want to make an extension method for that, but I don't need to because I have these event args, so I don't need to extension method it. I can put it right here. They're both inside of core. These event args are always going to live in core, and so is chat user. So I see no problem with putting it right in here. I'm going to create a new chat user, and I am going to say display name equals display name. So yes, I know I could auto-mapper this and whatever, but I'm not putting it in here just yet. The other thing of interest that we have here that I want to mention is that some of you have probably noticed, but welcome, Soteriologist. Thank you for following, and I'm sure I messed up that name, so I apologize for that. Tell me how to pronounce it if I did mess it up. But what I wanted to say is that we need to, in our chat users, keep track of which chat they came from so that we can determine that and make sure that we get them maintained, so that if we have someone that is in Twitch that is so if we have someone in Twitch that has the same name as someone, say, in Discord, we don't want the system to treat them as the same person. We might want to link them at some point, but for now, we need to do that. So we're just gonna keep it separate because we only have one, so it's not a huge deal. Okay, so that will convert to a chat user, which will then add into the active chatters, and will be fine. So to do, try to find in database. So we want to try and connect that to the database, see if they're in there. If they're in the database, we want to use the one from the database because that'll come with the ID and roles, etc., etc. Because we should have a record of that from them already. On this object, I'm also realizing we might want to have the role if it's made available to us. So let's go ahead and say role equals role. So in order to do that, I need to have role, user role, and role. Okay. So now we keep track of at least those two pieces. If we don't have it, we don't have it. So we'll treat them as an everyone if we don't know. So actually, that needs to be a nullable role. And chat user, we need to do the same thing, I think. It makes sense for user role to be nullable in chat for if we just don't know. First time we detect them. So what I'm going to do is next move this over to our currency generator, because we want to connect to whether or not they left also. So chat client dot on user left. And we're going to say chat client on user notice. Chat client on user on, oh, that's funny. On user. Let's get this one right. On user left. No. Create other. No. Thanks. You totally figured out what I wanted. How did you know that I wanted to have that? Thanks. Did you guys see that? I didn't figure that out at all. Couldn't figure out that I was plus equaling the thing like that. So this is user left event args. User left event args. we're going to put that in there, and then I'm going to drop this down below, and we're going to put this right after the other one, and it will be wonderful. So what I'm thinking when I look at this is these event args are pretty much going to be the same thing, so I'm thinking that we don't really want to separate them like this. I'm thinking we want to have user status event args. Hey Rexy, how's it going? Hype, hype, hype. Welcome to the chat. So I'm going to change to user status event args because I think that is going to be a little nicer because I can use it now in both places, which has another benefit to it. And then I want to update this as well with the new type. And this is going to be an on user left, and it's actually going to be this. It's going to have the same signature as the other one. So that's not bad. Well, hopefully things speed up for you soon, Rexy. So we have those wired up. We put that on there. This event handler is going to need to actually get wired up in our individual chat client instances. Two of which aren't really real, but that's fine. So we're going to add them to the list here, and then we're going to remove them from the list there. So the removal, I think, is going to work pretty okay, but what I want to do here is make sure they're in the... because we can. So the idea here is anytime I've detected someone, I want to get them in our database as soon as possible, whether it's because they're leaving or joining or whatever, because the sooner we get them in the database, the better we're going to get at tracking, because we're going to want to have them in there in the future when we go to pull this information. So what I am going to do is jump over to our repository. So we want to pass that in. So we're going to bring in an iRepository, call it our repository. So this we want to store in a field here, and then we're going to take this and call it right here. So we are going to attempt to yank the data off of that. So what I want to do is we want to call single on that. So good luck with that, Rex. Hopefully that works out nicely. So data item policy of type chat user. Can I do a new data item policy chat user and pass in my expression? Yes, I can. So where display name equals equals display name. So that essentially then gets us that. Now I'm going to want to change that so that we're using a user policy so it's easier, and so it's like by display name we just pass in the value and it'll know what it is. But I didn't want to create that just yet. So cannot access the constructor. Yeah, that's fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump over to this policy, and I am going to take a look at the ones that inherit from this, which is a quote policy. Active message policy is just one off of that. But what I want to do is do another... I think I want to work off of the data item policy. Status actively. No, I'm not going to. I'm going to base this off of this one, which means using just the I specification. Oh, is that just a misnamed folder still? That'd be hilarious. Yeah, there we go. It's just data item policy right now. Okay. Well, in that case, I am just going to inherit from this. So let's go ahead and create a derived type, and we're going to call this one the chat user policy. So we want to be able to get chat user policies, and they are going to be inheriting from that. We don't need that because we're not, since we're not actually going to be generic, we're only going to work for chat user, but we're going to write it like this. And so what I want to do is I want to create a static. So we're going to make a public static chat user policy returning method, and what we're going to call it is by display name. So we're going to take in the display name of the user we're looking for, and we are actually going to return a new chat user policy, and in our expression we are just going to say display name equals display name. And so that sort of lets us hide that lambda expression so no one sees it. We're just going to say by display name, and so it makes it really pretty when we use it. Well, relatively pretty. And you'll see what I mean in a second. So I'm going to change this to just say event args, because that's much nicer. Hey! I do know that person that followed. I mean, I have no idea who that is that just followed. Definitely not Carrie. What could that C stand for? So I want to say, what did we call them? It's the policy for chat users. There it is, chat user policy. We're going to put it in its own file, and then I am going to jump back over to here, and we're going to say chat user policy dot by display name, and then say event args dot display name. And essentially that's like saying, hey, I want you to access EF, go to the database and pull out my argument based on the display name. Yeah, Nifix, the policy's sort of like a filter expression. Yep, that's the idea. So the reason I like this approach is that we will eventually want to cache these because I know we're going to be hitting an API frequently to get data, and we aren't going to want to... so some of this content that we're filtering on, so right now we are going to connect to the repository, but later on, and we're going to want to cache that data, and we can actually use this for this. The neat part is, now I've done this before, and it's not in the system yet, but these expression trees that we're creating, we can actually take them from code and get a string representation of this, and use that as part of the cache key. Now, it's not 100% perfect, but for like the 99% case, we're going to be able to have any given expression that we used anywhere through the system be able to get cached based on the values of the actual expression. So, for example, if I wanted to pull back based on the name devchatter, for example, I would have a key in the database that has devchatter in it built off of this. And if I were pulling from the database based on more than one value in my filter expression, because I could actually open this up and make it so that that's public, and so you can create any given chat user you wanted and get based on, you know, their role and their name, and actually have it save, you know, looking for anybody that is role mod, for example. We could cache that it was a query for chat users who are mods, and that'll actually get stored in the cache that way. And we can sort of just get that by following this approach. So that's the idea. If you do want to take a look at any of our code, because it, as I said, clearly none of this code is perfect. Oh, whoops, the bot's not even running. Yeah, so the bot won't run right now, so I can't give you the GitHub link, but it's github.com/devchatter, and you can take a look at all of our code there. Okay, so where were we? So we were getting by display name. So if this gets us a user, so we're going to say and then we're going to say if single, and I'm going to rename that in a second. If it came back as null, then we are going to repository dot create a new one for chat user. Okay. And then we'll grab the object that it got back and add it. So essentially we're going to say if it's null, do that. Otherwise, and actually I have a feeling ReSharper's going to fix this code for me. Because I should be able to do this assignment. Yep, there it is. See, there it is, there it is. Because I should be able to do it with a ternary. So essentially the idea is we're saying if single is not null, so if we found the one from the database, then if we got one from the database. Wait, did I do that backwards? I did that backwards. If that came back null, create. Did it backwards. Okay. So essentially what we're going to do is say if single exists, we're going to assign that to chat user. So if we got one from the database, that's the one we're going to use. If we didn't, we're going to create a new one and use that. So I'm going to rename this to user from DB. And then that ought to work. And actually, we don't even need to create it until that point, so why don't I do this instead? We'll just create one right at that moment. And put it in there. So we're just going to say if we... this I'm only saving for the clarity because I think it would be ugly to put that all in one line, so keep this out. Essentially saying grab it from database. If it came back null, just go ahead and create a new one in the database based on that username. And that ought to do it. So, not bad. So now it's going to yell at me. I'm going to get a couple of errors because I haven't implemented the interface yet. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And it's going to put both in because I changed the name of a thing. Whoop. Why did it do that? No. Because it had multiples? Because I had two of it? I think that's why it did that. That's stupid. Whoops. I don't want the console one. I want to go to the fake one next. Clear that up. And now we're going to add the other one. Implement that. Okay. So the next thing, we want to jump to the real one, the only one that actually mattered. We're going to change the event type. And then we're going to bring it in again. So now we have these two back again. We're going to need to wire them up in here. That's fine. Actually, so these are getting set, but what we want to do is this. We want to do the same approach we did here and do an invoke on them. So we're going to say question mark dot and invoke, and we're going to say this, and then we're going to do a... We're not really going to do that new one. We're going to to it off of this. So we should have an extension method that already exists and it sends to chat user, but that's not what we're going to want to do. We're going to want to change the type of that method. So we're going to change the type of that method. There we go. So now it wants one of these, and that's fine. We're going to do that. So essentially our extension method's going to change. Hopefully none of that looked weird to you guys. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do the same kind of thing up here, except instead of on user noticed, we're going to do an on user left. We're going to invoke this, and then we're going to use our on user left event args. And we're going to do the same thing here, except we're going to on user left event args. Now, this is a point where I would love to have auto-implementing interfaces in C#, and I call them auto-implementing interfaces. Essentially, I want something that works kind of like Concepts Lite, which is a proposal for C++, and the idea is that both of these event args have the same properties. They each have username on them, and I would love to be able to have an interface that just, makes it so that it treats it as if they have them. And this is the case where auto-implementing interfaces would be useful. It's where I'm using someone else's code and they don't have a consistent interface on them, so that I can say, hey, I'm expecting these properties or methods to exist, and that's all I need. And maybe they don't even want to put the interface on there because it's clutter to have an interface that doesn't really serve much purpose on its own. Sorry about hitting the mic there, guys. I don't know if you heard that. And so, essentially, I want to do the same. I want to treat it almost like type-safe duck typing, if that means anything to you guys. I'm going to fix the name of these methods now. We're just going to say rename the overloads. Sure, yeah. We'll treat that as an overload. That's fine, because I wanted to get them both renamed anyway. So, cool. All right, so to user status event args. There we go. So that should work on both of those. I don't actually need to wire them up here because the underlying Twitch client methods are already wired up. And then over here, what is this, the fake chat client? That's fine. I don't care about the fake chat client. The next one should be the console one, which I also don't care about. And then back here inside of our currency generator, oh yeah, well, so Nifix, you wouldn't actually end up with an implementation in the interface. However, in C# 8, we're actually going to get the ability to have default implementations in an interface, which is kind of going to bridge the gap between an interface and an abstract class in a really cool way, assuming that it actually shows up with that feature. But it's on the list of things for them to do. We'll see what it ends up with. Okay, so user from DB, attempt to create that, add it if we didn't get it, and either way, add the chat user that's from the database. So this one will always be a chat user from the database, no matter what. Which is actually a good point. This will always be from the database. Because no matter what, it's either going to be one from the database or it's going to be the new one from the database. That's interesting. Yes, it's going to feel a bit strange when we do have default implementations in an interface, Nifix. It is going to feel weird, but I do see a lot of use cases where it's going to be nice. And I think we'll all get used to it. I think most of the weirdness just comes from the fact that, we know that you don't do that, right? So I think it's mostly on us. Okay, so what I'm going to do to start this is we want to make sure that they're in the database. So we're going to put that on there. And actually, I am realizing I should jump over to the chat client. Oh, nope, that doesn't matter. Okay, we had it here. Right, because these aren't, these are just event args. Hey, welcome, Kid Fundamentals 345. Welcome to the chat. So what I'm going to do is we're going to check and see if we can get them. If we have that user in the database, then great. If not, we're going to put them in the database. So we're going to treat it the same way we did before. And then we're going to remove them from this list. Which we're going to remove them from the list regardless. Kid Fundamentals 345, I am not connecting with the Helix API directly right now. I am using TwitchLib, and so for most of our API calls, I think it is still going through the V5 API. That's all we're connecting to right now, but yes, we're planning on switching to the Helix API in the future. We're just using the V5 because the full feature set of V5 has not been replicated on Helix yet. Not that we're necessarily using anything that isn't on Helix, but I'd rather not run into that on stream. And so since I am on stream, I'm using the one that I'm less likely to bang my head against the wall, at least in terms of calling the API. I'd rather bang my head against the wall for things related to .NET Core and other things like that. Okay, so the question, Buoyant Air. This chatbot will be connecting to Discord. But we are not making that connection yet. So the connection that we have set up right now is to Twitch. But yes, we are building it. You'll notice that we're taking in a list of chat clients everywhere. And so the idea is that our system inherently is prepped for the fact that we will be connecting this to more than one chat service at a time. So there will be a connection to Discord. So if you want to make sure that you catch the stream when we connect it to Discord, find the follow link up at the top, go ahead and click it, and get notified when we go live. And you can just drop by and see, hey, are they connecting to Discord today? Watch if we are, and if we're doing anything else you're interested in, you can watch it. But if you just want to catch the Discord stuff, you can just wait for that stream, and we will be connecting to Discord, so do not worry there. Oh, awesome. Good. Nifix, so what are the source of the user? Yeah, so I am going to be adding that Nifix, but right now I am ignoring the source because I haven't made the connection to Twitch yet, and I don't want to have to go put in all the EF pieces that would be required. Probably what we're going to do is make it so that there are instances of the Entity Framework Core data context, each associated with the different chat, and we're probably going to wire them in there in the long run. So that's going to be the end goal. So essentially, there would be a repository that is associated with Twitch that is automatically filtering out for Twitch users and things like that. Let's see. So will this be a cloud bot with a website as the GUI for people? Yes, so the plan is for this to eventually have a web interface, most likely, Kid Fundamentals 345. It might live in Azure, but there will certainly be a web interface to it. And yes, Buoyant Air, it is open source. It is all out on GitHub. And actually, let me go ahead and see if I have any compiler errors right now. If I don't, then I will go ahead and run this. I don't, because I just fixed them. We had a couple of things that were not implemented in our interface that are now there. So the bot is now in here. So if you want to take a look at the source code, it's out there. It is under development live on stream, but if anybody wants to contribute, either by mentioning issues so that could be used for feature requests or a bug that you noticed or anything like that. And we also accept pull requests. We have had some users send us in some cool improvements so far. So you can go ahead and check that out. And if anybody does want to talk after the fact, you can check out our Discord. And that is a place where you can talk with other people who are a fan of Dev Chatter. Okay, so we are inserting them in the database if we need to. And I actually don't need to assign them anywhere. That is hilarious that it removed the whole line. It figured out we weren't using that, but it is not thinking about the fact that there are consequences to this action. So what I'm actually going to do is this. I'm going to simplify. We're going to switch that, oh, not to a conditional expression. Well, I guess to a conditional expression. Will you now give me the option to change it to an if? No, I don't want to do a null coalescing. All right. Yeah. So if user from database equals null. So essentially, if they're not in the database, we are going to put them in the database. So since I'm not using the user from DB object this time, I want to call that just because I think it's clearer to the user what's actually going on there. So that's the change I want to make. Yep, see you, Gooch. Also, I noticed you changed your name. And Gooch, there's a lurk command. So you don't have to do that one. Welcome, Kid Fundamentals 345. Thanks for following. Okay. So, Nifix, the reason that we would want to know the source is that you have the name Nifix777, but someone could, say on Mixer, use the name Nifix777, and I need to be able to tell which one actually did something, because the name sets need to be unique, so I need to be able to tell who you are. It's essentially the idea. So very likely what is going to change, so we're using these chat user objects, but behind the scenes we might set it up so that there is, in the database, we're tracking who the user is, but associated is like an alias they have in any given system. So I could say that, you're, Nifix777 in Twitch, but maybe, you're just Nifix in Discord, for example. And so that's how we're going to be able to tell the difference, is we're going to need to know where you came from, essentially, which system you're out of. Okay, let's see, so if they're not already in there, we're going to put them in here, and we know that anybody, when we added them to the list, because when we do the add, this is the only time we do it, we've made sure that they're in, so that should keep our active set of users in here. Okay, let me go ahead and get this piece committed. We're not done with it, but I want to start making a couple of small commits on this, just so that we don't get too crazy. I don't want to do a giant commit. I'm okay with the pull request being kind of large, but I don't want it to get giant. But how do you want to identify the real user? Yeah, so Nifix names are just strings, and Twitch at least maintains uniqueness on those strings. Discord, for example, will allow two people to have the same name, but that's why they have the number after it. So there's like if I have the name Brendan, for example, I might be like Brendan and then a £, and then like 5555, right? And so that would be my actual unique name in Discord. And then Discord uses separate display names and things like that. So in Twitch, your display name is always unique. So from Twitch, we can use that. And so that's how we're getting away with this right now. But we're going to need, as I said, we're going to need to tweak once we add in the other ones. Mixer, I'm assuming, is probably the same thing with uniqueness on those names. And I'm sure a lot of other services do the same approach, where there's either uniqueness or there is some other unique ID to identify you. And we basically just need to keep track of that. So behind the scenes for uniqueness and an ID on the user, within our system, we're actually giving you a GUID, so like a full big name. Yeah, so I'm matching based on the name for now because I'm not doing the service. So for example, what I would really be doing in the future, I mentioned I was going to do a global filter, so that means I don't actually at this point need to filter for Twitch, because I'm going to make sure that the repository I access is the Twitch connected one. And so the idea is I will look for both that the source was Twitch and that's the unique name. So that's why I would match on 2 properties for uniqueness. Okay, so the currency generator is connected there, and the reason I wanted to do a commit, and actually I'm going to push up these changes we're actively working on out to GitHub, but then what I want to do is I want to go to the part of the bot where we are running our, here it is. Okay, so we have messages that are that get sent out periodically by the bot. So if I leave it running for 15 minutes connected to the chat, it's eventually going to say, hey, welcome, and remind everybody to click the follow button. And when it does that, essentially all it's doing is it's looking for a set of messages, and it's just going to say, hey, do we have messages to send? Okay, try to send them. And it's going to spit them out. Now, right now, actually, I see that it's putting this in there. We wouldn't really need that part. So, almost want to just fix this right now while I'm here. So, there we go. The message. We're just going to call it message. Okay, so that's what it's going to do. So, it's going to spit these out. Let's see. So then what we're doing is once every second, the bot is checking to see what it needs to do. It's once every second, right? Yeah, once every second. The bot is checking to see if it has any work to do. So what we want to do is we want to make an interval that's longer than a minute, or longer than a second, on one of our pieces. So we are automated message system, check messages, automated message system, DQ message, and then we are grabbing the messages. Okay, so I'm going to go take a look at what we're doing here. So this is our automated message system, but we don't want to do automated messages. We want to do something similar. So that's out of messaging. We want to do... I'm not sure where I want it to live yet, so I'm actually just going to put it right in the root of the core project. Because that's the automated messaging system. I want to have an automated action system for now. And here's what I'm thinking. Tell me if I'm crazy. I want to have this basically have a automated action system. So this is I want actions to happen on an interval basis. So I'm thinking something like that, an I interval action. Yeah, I do need to lock down access to it. And now lockdown I just mean for like internal purposes, making sure that nothing really messes with it. So these are those are the actions that we're going to take. So this is almost like automated pieces, actions, intervals. This is, it's like periodic stuff. It's time-based, it's temporal. Naming things is so hard in programming. I don't know how anybody names anything. I could sit around for hours trying to come up with names to stuff. So I'm going to make I interval action for now. And I'm going to make a derived type of that. And we're going to make our derived type be... Ooh, automation. There you go. Thank you, Nifix. That's good. I will make an automation folder and put it in there. Currency updater. Wait, a currency update? Yeah, currency update. We'll have it be a currency update. It's going to be an interval action. Thank you. Automation. Yes, I can spell every once in a while. There we go. Automation. Core.automation. All right. Let's move this into its own. What the? There we go. Okay. There we go. Okay. Now the tools seem to be working again. Okay, so now we have this, and you guys might be wondering what the purpose is of having our interval action. So our interval action is going to work sort of like the I automated message. Interesting. I should maybe move these up there too. So is time to display and get, yeah, so this is the basic step. So is time to display, and this will be a void take action. Maybe it's an invoke. Invoke. Because people know what that word is for invoking an action. Is time to run. I think is the way we want to do that. Just check and see, hey, is it time to run? If so, then go ahead and invoke it. So, for a currency update, we want to check and see if it has been, if the interval has passed. Which actually, I'm going to leave that with a throw new not implemented exception, and that one as well. Okay. So here's what I want to do. I want to get some tests on this before we get too much further with this piece. So let's go ahead and start testing this. This is core, and this is going to be a folder for automation. And yeah, I need to do a little bit of cleanup of the tests here too, which I'm sure you guys noticed. That's fine. So currency update tests. And inside of here, I'm going to make a class for is time to run should. I'm going to make a fact in XUnit. For now, I'm going to call it test1 because I don't know what it's going to do. Once I figure out what it's going to do, I'll name it. So this is going to be a currency update. So we're going to make a new one of these. Then we're going to call currency update and is time to run. We're going to make that be result, and we're going to say assert dot false result. I don't even know what this test is going to be yet. But we're going to say, first off, I'm going to run it just to make sure that it will run. Why is it not available? We'll run the other tests. So I've got keyboard shortcuts that should have run my resharper test runner. And it gave me some message about not being ready. So I'm just going to use the built-in Visual Studio test runner, which also works. And if you guys notice in chat, so that way, the bot just said hello and welcome. I hope you're enjoying the stream. So our automated messages are working. Wait, what? Oh, does it not know this is a test? Oh, that's why it failed. It's because I've got build errors. I just figured out why it wouldn't run. It's because I left something not complete somewhere. Oh, right. The bot's running, so it couldn't build. That's why. Sorry, guys. Now the bot's not running, so now we can build. So build succeeded, and now we should be able to run this. No? Okay. Still can't run it. Still doesn't like me. Thanks, thing. Okay, so test fails for, I'm sure, the right reason. Not implemented the pet, yep. not implemented. Okay. So, for now, easiest thing I can do to make this pass is just return false. It's not timed to run yet because it just isn't. Should return false given return false upon initial creation. It's never ready to run at the beginning. So there's our first test. And now that should pass. Okay. Next thing that I want to do here is make sure that we can return true. So this is the best way to actually make me write some real logic. After waiting full interval. Okay. So now I want to do this. I want to steal the shimming that we did before. So what I'm going to do to get that is jump over to this test, and I'm going to steal our shim out of here. So a shim, for those of you that don't know, is basically a way of like hooking into a static method. So essentially, I'm going to shim the datetime.now function, and just slip in there and be like, well, instead of running datetime.now, return back this result that I'm going to specify. Now, if you're not in the .NET Core world, you can use Microsoft Fakes for this, which is a library that is available and easy to use. The problem is, being in .NET Core, Microsoft Fakes hasn't been updated for it yet, so we depend on something else. So Pose is a NuGet package that will do the same kind of thing. And essentially all we have to do then is, when we call this, inside of this pose context here, that is where the shim is going to be running. Hey guys, can someone help me with a simple thing? I did else curly brace. Oily ball, what do you mean? What's the problem you're running into there? Okay, so inside of this context, the code we run in here is going to be using this shim, essentially, because we told it to use it here. And we're going to say that once a minute, it's going to add currency. So we'll make that be the interval on our currency update. So we'll replace both of those. We'll make this a const int interval in minutes. And I'm going to add this to the constructor, give it interval in minutes, add that as a read-only field, get rid of that not implemented exception. And now I should have a failing test that is passing. Or a failing test that runs. Yes, thank you, mainL. Else if that, and now I want to want an alert message in an if curly brace. Ah, JavaScript fun. Well, someone might be able to assist you with that one. Oily ball, a place you can go to. Yeah. JavaScript. Come on, guys. We all got to use JavaScript someday. The part that's gonna, yeah, exactly, Mystery. See all the way.
the part that sets my age, my first programming language was actually, back in the 90s, was actually JavaScript. So I was programming JavaScript before I was programming any C, C, C++, C#, anything like that. So, JavaScript. Although I can tell you there's quite a while where I did not like JavaScript. It got better, though. Okay, so as I said, this test is failing for the right reason, I think. Common language runtime detected an invalid program. What the? Invalid program exception. That's hilarious. That is a weird one. Probably our shimming. Okay. So what we're gonna do is we are going to store the time that it was created. So I'm going to put datetime.now, and we're going to store this in a field. So we're going to make a private datetime previous runtime. So we're going to create that like that. Oh, yeah. Alright, yeah. Okay, so the funny thing, guys, you mentioned PHP. Yes, I think you're right, Nifix. That probably is what's going on. But the funny thing is, your table flip on PHP. Previously, someone was actually suggesting that I make it so that the bot respond if anybody types in things like PHP. So I could have it do a table flip anytime someone says PHP. So actually, I think I might borrow that from you and suggest that the bot do that. So table flip anytime someone does it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say if datetime.now is greater than previous runtime dot add minutes, and it'll be the interval in minutes. And I'm going to store that as a property in a minute, but I'm not going to just yet. Then I will return true. But that should be the easiest way to make that work. Yeah, exactly. No, we don't really hate PHP, Oily Ball. It's just many of us here don't get stuck using it all that often. Although among developers, we are all used to having to know many programming languages. So I actually used to be a Python dev. Long time ago. Or inject the current time to the method. Yes, I could do that. So originally, Nifix, that's actually the way that I wrote the interval one. But when the shim was made available, I put this in place of it. If Microsoft Fakes ever comes around, sorry to the guy that wrote this library. I really do like it, and I'm glad he wrote it. But there's a good chance that I will just switch to using the Microsoft Fakes one, which is probably what he's using anyway. So. So I do actually know people that work at Google, Oily Ball. In fact, some of my former coworkers, like people that mentored under me, have gone on to other such fun places. But no, that's I'm not a big fan of working for large companies, but who knows, maybe one day they'll convince me to grab a blue badge at Microsoft. I don't think it's likely, but I wouldn't be the first person that's former MVP, insider, etc., from Microsoft that ends up going there. So return false after
invoking action. So we're gonna have it wait the full minute. So it's gonna show. It's gonna go into the future, but we're gonna invoke before that point. So we're gonna do this. So inside of here, instead of just asserting, inside of a shim, and actually I can do this. I can put multiple methods inside the same shim. So I'm going to do our assert in there as the second line of the shimmed stuff. It should allow me to multi-line this if I'm not crazy here. Maybe I'm crazy though. Why is it not like my... Oh, I am missing a paren. That is why. Janiscu. .NET Way is... Yes, exactly, Janiscu. .NET, .NET is nice. I do like it. It is a good system. I switched from being a guy that ran Linux and wrote Python straight over to C#, and within a year was like, you know, one of the loud people raving about how great C# was. So, okay, oops, that's funny. So shim replace currency update, wait a minute, run invoke, and it's going to be blowing up because this is a not implemented exception, but I'm going to get rid of that. So now we should fail for the right reason, I think. Hey, welcome Sasquatch Mitch, thank you for following. That's a nice easy name to say, Sasquatch Mitch. Don't think I messed that one up. Okay, so we did an assert false, and this should have come back true if we take a look. And that's funny, it's messing up my results. Like, it's failing for the right reason, but I'm not getting the right message about it. So I think you were correct, Nifix, that it is doing something weird inside of that isolated context. So I think if I did this instead, if I grab the result, but do that assignment to a variable that's out here, and do my assert, what? Oh. Alright. Bummer. Okay. So we're going to do that, and then pull the assert out of the shim. I think I'll get my errors again. Yes, yes. So, Nifix, I agree. I was actually at a user group yesterday pointing out to people that it's very important to use the correct programming language for the problem space that you're in. So, certain programming languages are better for certain problems. So for example, if you're writing a bunch of embedded systems and using C#, you're probably not using the best language you could. But by the same token, if you're creating some business applications and you're using C as your language, again, I think you're probably doing it wrong. So, okay, yeah, so yanking it out of the context gives me a better error, so I should probably do that. So yeah, see, Mystery 836, you know, electrical engineering students, C makes sense. Okay, so that gets us the better error message, which is nice. That confirms that we're getting the one we expect to. So now inside of invoke, do the thing, but then what we want to do here also is set the previous runtime equal to datetime.now, because it ran. So now, if I run these,
that one should pass. Now I still need to actually do something in there, but at least it's working. Okay, so that should have run. There we go, they're all green. So this actually resets itself and keeps track of it running. Likely what we should probably do is either pull out an abstract on this, or more than likely have a default implementation once that becomes available in interfaces. Yeah, guys, that's right, talking about default implementations in our interfaces, because why not? Yes, anything you're doing real-time does need to be in C. So, for example, I know people that, their software is running... so I have friends that work at Lockheed Martin, and so they're running software that's going to run actually on an aircraft. And what that means is that you don't want to be running C# on that thing. So there's a lot of places where C# is definitely not the correct language. Okay, so is it time to run? Seems to work basically the way we think it should, so let's go ahead and actually make it do something. So our currency update test, a currency update, I think, should just straight up have access to the repository. Or should it know? It should know about the currency generator, I think. Yeah, it's going to know about the currency generator. So we're going to give it the currency generator, which itself is going to have the repository. And it also is going to know about the list of users. So when we take this action, we're going to call the currency generator and say... give currency. Update currency? Update currency, there we go. Let's see, Python on the other hand is great for rapid prototyping for desktop applications. Yeah, so interestingly, the only thing I really use Python for anymore, Mystery, is basically just spiking or prototyping a problem that I'm in. When I first heard the Monty Hall problem, for example, I actually wrote a Python program to essentially do Monty Hall for me, because I was like, oh, okay, let's just make 3 doors and try this. And the funny part was, as I started simplifying the code before I'd even actually run it, I realized that I was wrong, and the Monty Hall problem is, as accurate, like it is as weird as everybody says it is, in that the resulting odds is 2/3 in favor of changing doors, not 50-50. Because as you start reducing in the program, you realize, oh, I cut that out and you cut that out, and you're like, wait a minute, I just simplified and now it's clearly 2/3, and you don't even have to write it. It's dangerous to speak about Lockheed. Oh, Sven, what is... Hey, I don't work at Lockheed. I'm assuming something about them in Belgium that I didn't hear about, Sven. They actually used to have a... They used to be located in my area also, but they closed down here, and so they actually shipped all their devs around the country, I think to Orlando and Denver, I think is where everybody went, but I don't actually know that for certain. So what I want to do, and I'm going to do this in a simple way, guys, is we're going to jump through all the active chat users. And we're going to go ahead and give them each some currency. So we're just going to say tokens plus equals 10, right? It doesn't matter. I'm just going to hard code it for now. We're going to extract that out, make these all configurable, but for now I'm just going to do this so we can kind of just run it and make it do something. So we're going to go through each one of those. And then, because these are all the ones associated with the repository, these all came out of the database, I think that what we can do
is just call an update on each one, and it should work. How did I write update? Can update take a list? T data item create. I think I can get away with this. We'll find out. Let's see. Yes. Yeah, there are a lot of good companies that do interesting things for someone with your background, Mystery. We need to change our F-16 planes, and it would be the F-35, but some political issues, all about money. Isn't it always about money, Sven? It's always about money. Everything's about money. Okay, yeah. Yeah, the problem is it's hard to not just go ahead and buy whatever it is they're selling. Whoops. Data item list, 7, db.save changes. And then, do I want to return the list again? I think we want this to be void, actually. I guess it could return the whole set, but I think we want to void that, actually, when doing the list, because I don't want to return back the whole set, because it's usually a pain in the neck to update based on that, so that's the approach I'm going to take there. I'm going to go ahead and make a couple more changes, and then I'll check out what's going on in chat. Let's see. Return. Oh, actually, I don't need to do a return. I just need to call it. So for now, we're not really doing our caching layer, which you guys probably notice here. But we have it prepped just because we showed it on stream once. Hey, Zero Crypt, thank you for following. Welcome to Dev Chatter. Glad to have you here. Alright. There should be one more, which is our fake one, that we're just using for tests because we didn't... what we didn't do is we didn't... we didn't actually put in our mocking system yet, because we wanted to use some other things, and we were like, yeah, we'll just toss in a fake for now. Alright, so I'm going to take a look at chat again. So, blah, 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 it's all about money. It was the same in the Netherlands, although I still found it weird. Europe themselves don't stimulate their own weapon development more. Yeah, the problem is the U.S. puts way more money into developing weapons and things like that than most other countries, so it's hard for anyone else to be on that the same forefront. And being so the dependency is just in the creation of them. But yes, you're correct. It is a little weird, Mystery. But by the same token, a lot of countries aren't large enough to have their own, weapons development on the scale of, say like the United States. Now Europe as a whole certainly could, but every individual European country wouldn't be able to. So you'll have to have some of that dependence everywhere, and maybe because the projects don't run very well. Well, okay, yeah, that's fair too. Let's see. So we are calling update currency, and then we are just shoving in all of the data. So this now needs to have access to a currency generator, but since we're not really doing anything with it on that one, we can get away with that. We're not doing anything with it here either, so we can get away with that. And then on this one, it just needs to not blow up. And there won't be anyone in the active chatter list, so I think I can get away with that. Not 100%. No, I update there, so it's going to blow up when I call update currency on that piece. So this will be a fake repo. Done. And fake repo, you need to not blow up when I call this. Okay. Think about it, I should just empty those out, shouldn't I? There. Okay. Let's run the tests again. We'll see what happens. Unexpected error. Null ref. Oh. I for-eached over it. Okay. So in my currency generator, I just need to send in an actual new list of iChat client. Okay, you win. I actually did the thing. Alright, let's take a look. Null ref. So now we're going into here. Update currency. Invoke currency. I'm not blocking. No, I'm not. Okay, good. I'm going to toss that in there, and I am going to debug this test. We're going to debug that test. We're going to see what happens when we get in there. Hopefully it doesn't get super weird. Yeah, it got super weird. Dang it. Alright. Null reference exception. Where was it? Stack trace. Dynamic mode, currency generator, update currency, update repository. Wonder where it was. Invoke, update currency. For each one of these, we have that collection now, I think. It should be an empty set of data. We're going to call update on a repository on it, which we should be in our fake repo. That should do nothing. And just keep running. Rage. How is that failing? Alright, you win, thing. You got me to disable these. Congratulations. I'm going to disable the shim for a second. I want to get it to... because I just want to see what the null ref is about. Oh. It's fine. You gotta be kidding me. Whether it was able to do that or not. So when we invoke it, I guess it shouldn't matter. Why is it failing on the shim like that? Huh. Yeah, so the problem with this test right now is that that it would pass whether or not we had the invoke in here or not. But so the invoke itself is not blowing up, but something to do with this is.
So that shim is breaking for some reason. I'm not sure why. That's a good question. When I run it again, does it still blow up? Yeah, it blows up every time. Get index of matching shim. It's like it can't find it. There's something blowing up with the shim. Okay. Well, we'll just yank it for now. Bye, shim. And we'll have to fix this later. When I can figure out what the shim is. Test would pass regardless. Okay. So we'll put that in there. That's fine, I guess. So at this point, we're updating currency on a periodic basis as long as we actually put in the automation bits. So for now, they live inside of automation. We have the automation action system and the automated message system and the automated action system should work about the same way. So what I want to do is on the automated action system, I want to have I want to do an initialize. I called the other one like publish because I was originally like publishing messages, and that's kind of what I was thinking, like publish events concept, but I really don't think that's what we're doing. And I could make this be part of the constructor actually. So we'll start this as the constructor, and if we decide we don't want it in the constructor, we'll get it out. So we'll see. We will initialize that property using that value. So that means we don't ever need this because we're always initializing with the value passed in there. That means we can't ever add any new ones to it. It just needs its full set at the beginning, which actually that is why we need to do it that way. We now understand why we do it the way we do it. So that makes sense. Now here's what I'm going to do, and someone is going to kill me, and that's fine. You guys are allowed to be angry when I do something this awful. Yeah, I did it. We're going to do an actions add range on the actions that you pass in, so I used a params there so that I can just kind of list them if I want to do more than one, and I don't actually have to make a collection, or I can just pass in a collection. Can I do a param? It would be neat if I could do a params of an IEnumerable instead of having to do an array. That would be friggin' neat. Yeah, thanks, Kid Fundamentals. Nifix. Alright, guys. Alright. I won't do it. Oh, but it's so tempting. Okay. Let's see. Now that I've horrified everyone. Okay, so check messages, EQ message, move at messages to queue. Queued messages. Right! Oh yeah, that's why we did it that way. Okay. So we essentially want to get the ready messages. Actually, why don't we do this? Run
necessary actions. We're just going to do that. And so this is just going to get called by something else on a periodic basis. And we are just going to say for each action where it's time to run, we're just going to run all the ones that are ready. There we go. We call that the ready actions, and I'm going to to-list that so that we actually resolve it so that we're not like updating the list as we go through it, because that's dangerous. So we're going to grab it at the beginning, get all the ones that are actually ready to go, and then run them. And then when we call invoke, that should make it so they're no longer necessary to run. Now, the problem we're going to run into is if these actions take a while, we are not actually going to be ready for them. So how do we guarantee that one of these only gets run one time? Let's take a look at our bot main, because I think what might be happening, so where are we versioning? Yeah, okay, we're synchronous within that. So, okay, so we're safe. We're already synchronous. There's only one instance of this. We're not actually multi-threaded on this piece. These run all together, so these are safe to have the way they are. So we'll run that, we'll do that. So in our bot main, we want to have an automated action system. That's funny that it just has like an automated message system and just takes in the automated messages. Where did we publish the messages that are in here? Check messages, publish messages, messages, list, I'll see message. Oh, yeah, right. We did it that way. That's weird. Alright, see you, Nifix. Have a good one. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. I actually wouldn't be surprised if we get some of our regulars coming in right now, because this is the normal time that I stream. I like to stream for usually about 2 hours, but I'm feeling good about what we're doing right now, so I'm not going to end the stream right this second. So we've been going about 2 hours now on this stuff that we're working on, and let's see. So we're going to check messages, and this one we are going to run necessary actions. And actually, I noticed something when we had that up there. I definitely don't want this to be... I want this to be a private field that we just use internally. So I'm going to change this from a property to a field. Make it private. And actually, it can be a private read-only list of these. And then we're just going to use it here. I don't want anybody else to have access to those. So what we're going to do is we're going to pass it in with its actions already in place. So let's go to the reference of this, which is going to be in our bot setup. And this is where we're just like, so instead of using dependency injection right now, which we will be using an actual dependency injection framework and using, you know, a service, blah, 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 you know, all that fun stuff. But for now, we do just have it in here with a file that just wires up all the bits. So that is actually all we're doing right now. Update currency update. There it is. This is going to take in an interval in minutes, which is going to be 1 for now. So every minute we're going to do this. We're going to give it a currency generator. It is going to get the chat clients, and it's going to get the real repository. And then what we are going to do is from that currency update, we're going to make an automated action system. Automated action system is going to initialize with a currency update. Currency update, and then this whole piece is just going to go in here at the end. Now, already upon doing that, I don't like having my initialize, so I am just going to put this right in the constructor, like so. So we're just going to add that parameter into the constructor. Yeah, thanks. How did you know I wanted to navigate to nothing? So we're going to make that list. We're going to make this an IEnumerable because we don't really... actually, no, it is going to be a list. Never mind. It's going to be a list, and we are going to assign actions based on that. Okay, we're going to get rid of this thing because we don't need it. This goes away because it's coming in from the constructor. We no longer need our initialize method, and then that just makes things a little simpler and gets rid of some extra clutter that we weren't actually even using, so that'll make it nicer. Okay, we are running necessary actions, and so now currency should be getting updated if we run the bot. What I want to do in order to make sure that we really are working as expected, I want to update the bot so that when a command is mentioned, we notice it. So you'll remember when I was writing the currency generator, client user left. So when we set up the currency generator, we connected to the chat clients, and we did on the user noticed of the chat client. So what I want to do with this is go to our Twitch chat client and make sure that user noticed actually gets called at any point that we can notice them. So what that means is when we receive a chat message from a user, not only are we invoking the command, but we're going to say to invoke this one as well, because we know that they were here. So what I want to do is I want to do a and it is to user status event args. So I'm going to create this extension method off of the chat command received. So we're going to create the same kind of event args for this one. So chat command received. I'm going to put it down here so it's not with the other ones. And we'll say command chat message. No, wait. It's on the command, right? Chat message command is identifier, argument list, command text. Where is it? I swear we get the user. We've got to have that. Chat message, on command receive source chat message, display name. Where did that come from? It's on the chat message. Okay. So it's on the chat message. Okay. That just doesn't make sense to me that it's on there, but I guess that makes sense. So display name comes from that. I assume then also that the role is on here? No? No? Okay, well, I won't worry about that one for now then. We're going to grab display name off of that and use it. So now when you do a command, it should be able to recognize that you're here. Whoops. And it should run. Let's go ahead and build this, make sure it's working. Okay. Now I'm going to run the bot, see if it blows up. We'll see. It might. totally untested here, guys. So the bot is back in chat. I'm going to use a command. So it should now know that I exist. So that's kind of cool. So, alright. So we had it set to once a minute. Let's go ahead and make a change. So on the currency generator, I'm going to do a console write line just so we can see it. So let's see what we're doing. So user, display name has tokens, and then let's say active chat user dot tokens. Okay, so we're going to print that out, and we'll see what it does with it. So I'm going to toss this on screen so you guys can see it, you know, because it's probably going to fail. But now, for anyone that did want to check out our code, because this is all getting sent to GitHub, you can check it out on github.com/devchatter. And if you take a look over there on the left, you'll see that it posted it in chat. By left, I mean my left, your right. You will see there is a link that got posted in chat that says where that code is, so that URL, and you can take a look at the code. So we're just going to wait and see. We just have to wait for a minute and see if this code actually runs. For now, while we wait, why don't we play a game of rock, paper, scissors, guys? So I'm going to go ahead and be rock. So if you type in chat, just do a exclamation point RPS and then type in rock, paper, or scissors. Or if you typo it or don't choose anything at all, it'll assign you randomly. So Sven, you've been assigned randomly. Nuka Colada, I like it. Okay, so cool. Sven, so because you got in there, you can see that it did add tokens to each of us. So that worked. So welcome Nuka Colada, thank you for following. And it's going to give us our notification and in Streamlabs once it notices, and that's going to be the one that pops up on screen up there. So it'll notice in a second. Our bot actually spotted it first. So since no one else is hopping in, I'm just going to go ahead and start up the... hey, chose scissors. So everybody that chose rock won. Yep, see, there's Nuka Colada's follow there. And for those of you that didn't notice, in that picture that shows up when we do get new followers, you'll notice that's a bunch of people that are on a death march walking off the edge of a cliff. And I am in fact the leader of that death march walking off the cliff. So, yep, that's right. In a bit of irony, I welcome you to the following by walking off a cliff as people follow me off a cliff. So anyway, yeah, so looks like it is working. We are updating those values. So that is good. So we are updating tokens as we go. I'm going to get rid of the console write line. So now it is time to do a quick commit into this token generation. So I'm just committing to the repo. Nothing to see here. It's really not all that interesting, I promise. It was a bit of text that was totally irrelevant. And we're back to looking at this. So, alright. So off stream, one thing I'm going to do that I'm going to mention to you guys is I am going to connect us to a local DB for our local development using EF Core. When this lives somewhere else, we'll get that set up as well. I'm going to need to get the data migration set up for that. Once we do have that configured, I will show you guys how that got set up. But I want to do it off screen just because that's a bit of a pain in the rear setting all those pieces up. So, okay, so we now generate some tokens. So let's go take a look at the
rock, paper, scissors game that we created before. And what I want to do is this. I want to go into rock, paper, scissors, and I want to say, now it's a good thing that we're allowing us to go negative, and you're going to see why in a minute. Because actually, now that I think about it, I want to go back to the currency update. No, currency generator. And I'm going to print out that message again. Nope, I can't. So what was I doing with this? We're going to say active chat user display name has active user tokens. Right? So we're going to print that out. And then that'll be the message that we print out. Now the reason I'm going to do this is because that's going to let everybody know on a periodic basis how many tokens we each have. I'm expecting they'll go negative, and I will show you why. So in your initial joining, I want to reduce the number of coins that you have. At least I would like to. Ooh. All games should get the currency managed. Currency generator needs to be like something like that. Okay. I feel like this has got to be the way it works. So we're not going to take in the repository as we originally thought. We are going to have the currency generator. Yeah, the Cure currency generator. Good job. Good job. That's exactly what I wanted to name it. How did you know? You're so brilliant. You figured it out. It didn't figure it out. It failed horribly, actually. Because that is not what I wanted to do. So what I want to do is, when we do adjust tokens, we're going to award tokens to the winner. Whoops. I want to award tokens to the winners. Winner list. Let's just get the winner list. So we'll make this a method. So we're going to say get winner list based on the winning choice. So we're going to do that in both methods here. We should do that based on the bot choice, not that. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make this a method called get winner list based on the bot choice. There we go. So whatever the bot chose, we need to grab the winning list based on that. And I'm actually going to make it a list, because that's a little nicer. Whoops. I apparently didn't have that highlighted. Thought I did. And then I copy-pasted it, and it failed. To list. What? Split declaration assignment. What? No, I want to do the opposite. Do you hate it when your tools don't just do all the work for you? I like it when my tools do all the work for me. Let's go underscore the currency generator. We don't want to update currency. We want to add currency 2, and then we're gonna take in a list of people, and that list of people we are going to give them an amount of currency. So right now we're just gonna hard code it as 50. So congratulations, anybody that wins just automatically getting 50 points, which is like 5 minutes of sitting here watching the stream.
We're going to take in a list of string, the winners list, and then this is tokens to add. And what we're going to do is we are going to, for each active chat, we're going to say for active chat where we're going to assume in order to have gotten into the game, we are going to have, like, you will have to have been identified by the bot or you would not be in the game. So we're going to assume you're in the list. The winner list contains your display name already. Okay, so the winner list is going to contain your display name, and what we're going to do is we are going to give you, so we're going to say chat user dot tokens plus equals the tokens to add, and then we're going to update the repo accordingly. Now, at that point, I really should be connecting these because now we are on separate threads. And I should make it so that we're only actually accessing the collection of users at the same time and updating their tokens value at the same time. But I'm not going to worry terribly about that. Winner list. I think that's going to work as is. Let's go ahead and run it. Just give it a shot. So, build error. Yeah, see, because I didn't pass in the piece here yet. So, currency updater, currency generator. So, what we're going to do is extract out this as a currency generator variable. Move this above the other piece. Move that up to the top, because currency generator gets used here now. There we go. Okay, now let's try and run it, and we will attempt a rock paper scissors game inside of chat. So the bot is back in here, everybody. I am not going to choose mine. I'm going to let it randomly pick. I got assigned scissors. So there we go. Someone else hop in. Let's go ahead and get a rock, paper, scissors game going. I know. I will be one of the other people. Get assigned scissors, so I will take rock. Thank you, CodeBytes TV, much appreciated. And welcome, by the way. Didn't know you were in chat. But now, since we have someone on each rock, paper, and scissors, I can go ahead and start the game. It chooses paper. That is hilarious how much I have won. And oh, look! Even before it came in, Dev Chatter now has 60 tokens, because we got it in there before the minute. So it did update and gave me my tokens. So prize winnings work now. The piece that we need to do is either base that on the number of people that were in and maybe charge everybody, say, 5 tokens to get into the game, and then the winner gets all of the tokens that were lost by the non-winners. Maybe distributed. I don't know if we want this to be net positive, negative, 0. We'll, that's something we can figure out. Yeah, nicely done. That was good timing. So that is how that works. Let's see. So I'm going to go ahead and commit that piece again. So that is adding rewards. So adding rock, paper, scissors, rewards. So that's an initial one that I actually like. That's not too bad. And let's see. So now, since we have that,
in our rock, paper, scissors command, when you join, which one of these is the new joined one? That's joined, competitor's choice name, changed from that to that, so that's if you were already in here. So this is the one that's actually joining. I think we want to make it so that you can only even get in here if you have the tokens to spend. And maybe you spend the tokens before the game even happens? Not sure. Maybe we adjust your tokens at the end. That's a good question. Lots to figure out on that one. Okay, well, either way, I think that's a pretty good spot on that one. So we have our currency updating, and we need to get our data storage in place. I would say that's our biggest thing right now, is that we're not storing our data in EF. So since I'm not going to tackle that one on stream right now, just because it's a pain in the rear to go and mess with, we might wrap the stream here. So sorry about that for CodeBytes TV for cutting out right as you got here. But unless someone's got something else, you know what? Hang on. I'm not ending it. I'm going to take a look at a couple of things. We've got some stuff out on GitHub that I want to pull up and I want to take a look at. So we're not going to duck out just yet. So don't go anywhere. I want to pull up our list of issues that we want to work on, and we're going to take a look at some of these. So what we have in here, so we have simple commands. We don't allow that yet. Timestamp on all console messages. We didn't do that. Add expected arguments. Nope, we didn't do that. Add basic error logging. Nope. Clean up dependency injection. Nope. Connect to Discord. Nope. So the only one we're working on is this one, which is the rock, paper, scissors game. And I mentioned that it's going to depend on on this one, so it depends on 30, which is having an actual database for storage. So we are going to have to get that at some point in order to make this work. But that's not yet. So what I am going to do, since we have this code that now kind of works and is doing our data storage, we do generate currency. It's not perfect, but I do think I want to pull request this in. So we're going to go ahead and bring this in here. So I'm going to say that this is a pull request for adding a simple currency concept. We didn't really get a lot in there, but there is some. And actually, as part of that, I do want to mention number 29. So continuing on number 29. Helps with this. Maybe part of number 29. Okay. So that is what that one is. We're going to go ahead and delete that branch. Because when we do it, we're going to need to have the database permanent, so that's why I want to end that branch, not continue on with that one anymore, because we sort of have the currency generating concept, and the next thing we want to do is add in that piece. Okay, so the thing I wanted to show you guys and why I wanted to have you all wait is I did want to show you, I mentioned that we have our GitHub out here, so anybody is able to contribute, and we have had some people contribute to this project. So if you do want to, if you're interested in writing a little bit of C# code, whether you're new or not, you can go ahead and check out github.com/devchatter, and our devchatter bot is, there. So if you went to this address, you could just open up devchatter bot and take a look at our code. And if you are looking for what you can work on, you can take a look in here and look for, so what you're going to want to mainly look for is probably one of these that has a good first issue, because they're pretty simple ones. That's part of the reason why I haven't been knocking all those out,
is because I do want to make sure there's some good first issues for people to tackle. So, like, handling some basic error logging, for example, wouldn't be that hard, and you can have it just print out console messages. And there's a way that we want to do error logging, but if you get a basic one in, we can either refactor to that, or if you do get close to what we're looking for, we can just suggest in your pull request how to change that. Additionally, if you want to try out the bot on your own, you can. And if you notice anything or see any features you want to make sure we have, just suggest a new issue, and we can get those in there as well. So this is very much a community project. One thing I'm going to put in here is I'm going to put in add quiz questions. So this was actually suggested to us by one of our viewers today. He's actually one of the regulars in here. And he's in here pretty often, and one of the things he's looking for is he wants to be able to have a bot that can ask quiz questions. So should ask the question, then prompt over a time interval, suggesting over a time interval, giving hints until someone guesses correctly. Should ask the question, then prompt over a time interval, giving hints until someone guesses correctly. Alright, cool. So I'm going to put that one in there. I'm going to give it a couple of labels, which I should have actually picked before we had this, and I'm going to call that an enhancement, and I don't think that's a good first one, but hey, if you want that to be a good first issue that you tackle, you are welcome to. I think it's very likely that that would use our interval stuff, but who knows? So that is what those pieces are. If you do want to work on this, all you have to do is just fork it over into your own code, make your changes, and then you can send us a pull request from that, and we will get them and merge them in. Additionally, if you are interested in continuing to talk with any of us, or you have questions, you want to chat, whatever, you can go ahead and join us on Discord, which is where we continue these discussions after the fact, so take a look there. Other things that are relevant, if you are, and actually I'm just going to jump over here for this, because we're talking for a minute. So, as I said, take a look at our Discord. If you want to continue chatting with us, go to GitHub. I wanted to jump through things. We are going to wrap up here, so I wanted to thank C# Fritz for hosting us and doing a raid at the beginning of this. So we got that started on a good note. So thank you everybody that's here from C# Fritz's stream. I wanted to thank everybody that followed today. It is greatly appreciated. And we hope that you guys are interested in the content and want to see us write more C# code. We have some guests that I'm lining up for some future streams. You guys may know some of them, maybe not. We're looking at potentially doing some streams in F#, and we also are probably going to be adding a UI at some point, so I'm getting someone that's better at that than I am, that's going to help us out there. And I'm also talking with some people that are experts on Azure and are going to help us with that as well. So those should be fun. Let's see, other things. We're probably going to do some more pair programming on stream more than we have been lately. And we may take a look at VS, the live share. If that's something that interests people, we'll probably pull that up and use that on stream some as well. So just let me know what you're interested in there. And let's see, so I mentioned GitHub. If you are enjoying any of the content, please do click that follow button. It might look like a heart, it might say follow, something like that. That's a good way to get notified when we go live, so you can click that to stay up to date on things. And other than that, yeah, I think, yeah, thank you all for watching, and have a great rest of your Thursday. So, bye.